Hi, this is Katie Johnson. Thank you for joining me for another Monday Crafternoon project. This one is being recorded because there's a lot of slow parts in this, and so I figured I would just fast forward through those things. So the reason for today's project is I wanted to showcase this awesome new paper. It is ombre specialty paper, Glimmer paper, new in the new catalog. So if you don't have this new catalog yet, let me know. I can get you a copy of it. I will also put a shopping link online, but the product I'm using is on page 139, and it's right up here. It's the In Color Glimmer paper, and they come 6 by 6. Now, it's a specialty Glimmer paper in that it is ombre, which means it goes dark to light. It's the new In Color, so there's going to be 5 of them here. And I decided that I wanted to showcase them on a vertical card. So I'm bringing in a vertical card and showing you the strips that I chose. Now a vertical card, of course, is only 4¼ inches wide. So I had to look at my ombre paper, which is 6 inches wide, and decide where on that range of light to dark I wanted to capture with my strips. So here's a blank card, and I'm going to lay these out here for just a minute so you can get a sense of what my thought process was. So in laying them on here, I could have brought that 5th color in, but I'll tell you in a minute why I didn't. So my first thought was, oh, I'm just going to put some pretty strips on there. And then I decided, oh, wait, I'll make it even more cool. I'll add some little banner ends to it. Okay. So I've got some banner ends. And then I thought, wait a minute, I just really want to showcase the sparkly light nature of this paper. And so I brought in a die. This die is from a bundle that includes the Butterfly Brilliance stamp set, and then it's got a set of coordinating dies, the butterfly or the Brilliant Wings dies. There's a lot of dies in this. I actually have them in an old stamp case that I put a magnet sheet in, but you can see that there are 6 butterflies on the front, and then there's this giant die that would cut out the 6 if you stamped them. In addition, there are 6 detail dies, and then there's some other little elements that go along with it. So I'm using the smallest of the detail butterflies. And the reason that I went with only 4 strips instead of that 5th one is because I needed that much width to get that butterfly on there, and I couldn't fit a 5th strip on. All right, let me show you another quick tip about doing these things. I want to cut a butterfly out of this strip and then put it back in again. So I love working on this grid paper. This is a product that Stampin' Up! Does carry. The grid paper is considered a stamping tool because it helps you line things up. So it's in the catalog. It's going to be found on page 149. And it's right here along with the Stamparatus and the blocks and the stamping pad. It's considered to be a stamping tool. So you can get a whole pad of that. It's really inexpensive. It's $12.50, but you get 100 sheets in there. It's going to last you a really, really long time. So invest in a pad, and then you've got 100 sheets to work with. So what I did was, let's see, can you see the bottom? I don't know if you can. I'm going to move my paper here for just a minute. Okay, so it's got a ruler going across the bottom here, and I laid each of my strips down with its edge along the 1-inch mark, and then I put the body of the butterfly along that dark line, so I was consistent each time I went to die cut. And by doing that, I got about the same amount of frame on the top and the sides and the bottom. Okay, this little guy, you saw me use this last week. This is called the Take Your Pick tool. You're going to see me use this 4 different ways on this project. So one thing that you could do is you could use it, I'm going to show you 2 of them right now. You could just use it to poke and get all these little pieces out. Rather tedious, isn't it? And then before you die cut the next one, make sure that you've popped all of these things out, because if you don't, This is important. If you don't, if you leave them in there, they're taking up some space that your next piece of paper needs to move into. And with that older piece occupying that space, you won't get as good a cut on the next one. So I said I was going to show you several different uses for the Take Your Pick tool. The Take Your Pick tool can be turned into a die brush. So we're going to look at this next die down here and see an easier way to get all those little pieces out. This is a putty end. It comes right out. It just unscrews right from the base. And you can purchase an accessory, which is this die brush that will screw into that hole, and it comes with 2 foam pads for ease and keeping things neat. I know look at my desk and you go, Katie, that is not neat, but for keeping things neat, I put one of my foam pads into an old stamp case. This just screws right in here. Now, just look at this. Much easier than taking the pick tool to every one of those little holes. You're not going to get every single one of them out, but you're going to get way more than poking each hole one at a time. There, aren't you glad that I pre-recorded this? Give me a thumbs up or leave a comment. Yes, Katie, we're glad you recorded this, because then you didn't have to watch me die cut everything. So if you like the idea of this die brush, and I'm going to replace the putty end right now because it comes with the putty end, this is the accessory. In fact, let me show you. It's found in the catalog on page 157. It's with all the die cutting tools. So there's the big die cut machine, the little die cut machine, all the different plates and things. And then you can see right there, this is the accessory. This is the Take Your Pick die brush tip. It's $9 and it comes with a little brush thing down here. And it comes with 2 foam pads actually. Stick around. I still have more things to show you about this, Take Your Pick tool. Okay, so I'm ready to place these on here. Now, I was a little bit anal, if you will, about wanting to make sure that these were all lined up and spaced evenly. So that's what you see over here. Let me show you what I did with this. I cut myself 4 Post-it notes that were the same width as the paper. And then I marked on this, there's that grid paper again, see? So I marked on the grid paper the 5.5 position, which is the size of the card, and the 2 3/4 position, which is half the card. And then I put these Post-it notes on to help me line things up. And then, because it was just like all white and the yellow lines were confusing me, I cut a piece of paper that was the size of a card just to slip underneath here to help me realize where the card itself needed to be, and to make sure when I looked at it that, again, the white areas in each of these were about the same. And when I was satisfied, then I could lay my card on it and put the little banners on. Essential tool in my stamping area. This has got little ends on it, and I want to avoid getting tape on my paper down here because it would be messy. And I do use the tape to adhere these strips on. I'm going to start with the top one, which is green. So this is no problem getting the tape on, but down here where there's just small little areas, okay, you can see I've caught some of the tape on this base down here, but it just rubs right off of that silicone craft mat. That's what it was made for. All right, here's where my little extra tool is useful. So I'm going to attempt to make sure that the margin on the left and the margin on the top are about the same size. I'm attempting to make sure that it is centered this way and that the top edge is parallel with the top of the card. Once I get that first one in, then the rest of them are a little bit easier to place because I can line them up to be parallel with the sheet above it, the strip above it. So what I'm doing with each of these butterflies, because I'm going for the illusion of dimension and flight, so I'm using my thumb and I'm creasing along the body of the butterfly, and I'm also creasing the antenna here. Use this Take Your Pick tool again, and this time I'm going to use the glue dots, the mini glue dots. Now, if you've got an older package, the glue dots used to come on the outside of the roll. With the newer packages, the glue dots are actually on the inside of the roll. So I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool first of all to pull off a glue dot. The second thing I'm going to do is roll that glue dot up into a long vertical thing and put this on the back of the body of the butterfly so that there's only adhesive on the body. Now, I could have used the liquid glue, and that would have worked fine, but the liquid glue would have made it flatter on the project, and the glue dot has a little bit of height to it, a little bit of thickness to it, especially with me rolling it up, and so I felt that that gave a little bit more dimension to the project. So roll, and the point on here is just the perfect tool for getting it positioned, and then I can place it right back in its hole. Isn't that pretty? And you can see that white showing through the holes in the wings. I love working with detailed dies this way. Okay, we have our butterflies placed. So I'm going to clear off the space a little bit. So I thought long and hard about how to place a sentiment on the front like that, and I was looking for something vertical. Life is better with friends like you. That's a beautiful vertical sentiment. And it just fits in the space of the larger hole on the double oval punch. So there's the double oval punch. I use it a lot. It's intended for the small one to be framed with the larger one, but I needed that larger size to fit the whole sentiment on here. So I'm actually going to show you a quick trip about stamping the sentiment, and then I'm going to show you a trip that you've seen me do before for framing the sentiment. So you can tell I had a lot of trouble trying to decide what color to go with on the sentiments here, because I've got these 4 different colors, and so which one of them should I pull out? And you can see I played around with the Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, Tahitian Tide, and this is Orchid Oasis. So I stamped in black, I stamped in white, I heat embossed in white, and ultimately I came up with, I was making a bunch of these. I ended up, actually I ended up putting it in our Facebook group. I've got a group of you who are with me in that Facebook Stampers group, and I asked for opinions, and the overwhelming opinion was the purple one, so that's what we ended up with over here. So what I do is I got them all stamped. Now, the way I did it was I put my stamp on the Stamparatus, stamped it on here, got the image of where it's going to be. Then I took a hole from one that had been previously punched, laid it on here, secured it with the magnet so it wasn't going anyplace. Then I could put my piece of paper, my punched out colored piece in here, ink it up with the white and stamp it, and I got perfect stamping every time. So that's a trick whenever you've got die cut pieces or punched pieces and you want to mass produce them and get them all stamped exactly the same. Okay, so I got them all stamped exactly the same. See, aren't you glad I pre-recorded this? Now you don't have to watch me heat emboss all this stuff either. So then the trick is I want it to be framed because I want it to really stand out from the page. But the punch only has the 2 holes, and I use the larger of the 2 holes. So what I did was I just punched another one. You've seen me do this trick before. We're just going to let it frame itself. So I take it to the back side, and I put on some adhesive on the 2 sides here. And then you just kind of let it frame itself, and the eye is going to fill in, especially with the scallops around the edge of this thing. The eye is just going to fill in and not really even notice that there's a break in the top and the bottom. Okay, so then I have a bunch of these. We are almost done, but I still have another trick to show you with the Take Your Pick tool over here. Okay, so let's talk about adhering this onto the front. I cannot use regular tape runner on it. Tape runner will not stick to the surface of Glimmer paper. The thing that makes it glimmery is little flecks of plastic that are all different angles on here with differences in height. Tape will not stick to that. So I need to use something a little stronger, something these glued on, or the dimensionals, because they will, you can push them on the foam, you can kind of push them and they get down in between the pieces of the plastic. They just stick to it better. And again, I don't need to use 4 of them to secure it. I'm just putting 4 on there for balance. We are almost done. I promised you one more use of the Take Your Pick tool. All right, we're going to add some rhinestones to this. And I know you've seen this before. Pick off the rhinestone and use the pokey tool to position it on your project. But, are you ready for it? This end here, the putty end that's protected by the cap, look at the cap. If you feel it, it's got this little dished in spot right up here, which is just perfect for going down and pushing that rhinestone on to make sure that it is really securely attached. Because remember, it's going to be sitting on top of this glimmer paper also. So I pick it up, move it over, and then secure it by pushing it with that cap of the putty end. So there's our project with the sentiment stamped on purple paper, because that was the overwhelming choice for the people in our Facebook group, the Incredible Crafters. And because I liked it, there's one in green too, just because I thought it was pretty that way as well. So leave me a comment below, please. Let me know what you think of the project. Let me know what you think of this awesome sparkly paper. And let me know what you think of this amazing Take Your Pick tool and its brush attachment. And by the way, for anyone who's thinking of putting in an order, tomorrow there is actually free shipping. So get that catalog out, look through it, and see if there's anything you want, and you can take advantage of the free shipping offer. Thanks for watching. Tune in next Monday for another project. Bye for now.